Please stand up. Don't worry, I'm not going to knife you. Here you go.
Thank you.
And I think you can tell from the weight of this sword that it's serious. Wow. It's a real sword, and it's sharp, so be careful with it. Now, in this city, I've got to tell you that the man used for this sword may be cutting red tape, which is something that Elon's also pretty good at.
Cool sword.
Well, yes, and no sword fights with Peter Diamandis. Okay. Now, the second part of the award is a diploma. And could I get this up on the screen now? This is the Heinlein Prize. For those of you who have seen a Nobel Prize, it is similar to a Nobel Prize in its appearance. And I will read it to you. The Robert A. and Virginia Heinlein Prize for accomplishments in commercial space activities is awarded on this day, the 29th of June, 2011 in Washington, D.C., United States of America, Earth, because someday these prizes will be given off of Earth. To Elon Musk for his insight, innovation, and leadership. It's signed by us, and it has a graphic. All Nobel Prizes, by the way, have graphics on them, and so do we. This graphic shows the Earth, the Moon, and Mars, and a star, and the symbols for the Earth, Moon, Mars, and a star. So Elon, here, if you'd hold this, and we'll get a picture afterwards.
Okay. This
is given with great affection and hope for the future for all of your endeavors.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, since we know that Elon's birthday was yesterday, people usually do fun things right after their birthday. I believe that you're flying tonight to Europe.
Yes.
And we have a little something for you to take with you. We didn't just make you a check. We made you a cashier's check so that you could take it down to the bank here and cash it if you wanted to. So here's the Heinlein Prize monetary award. Thank you very much. I would like to take a picture with you. Okay. Now, having said all of that, I'm now going to turn this meeting over to Elon and let him tell you about his intentions.
Well, thank you very much. I'm deeply honored to receive this prize, and I love the sword in particular. That's really awesome. I think maybe we start off with a little video. I think if we can roll the video, that hopefully everyone can see the screen. So let's see. So I think maybe I'd explain a bit about my motivations for space and starting SpaceX. It was certainly not from the standpoint of what I thought would be the easiest way to make money. Space is particularly difficult. But I do think that one of the most important things that humanity can do is to become multiplanetary and expand beyond Earth, and of course bring the rest of life as we know it along with us. For the past 4 billion years, life has been confined to Earth, and this is the first time in 4 billion years that it is possible for life to become multiplanetary. And that window may be open for a long time, and I'm reasonably optimistic about life on Earth, but it may be open for a short time. And if it is only open for a short time, we must take advantage of it and take action now to make life multiplanetary. In order to do that, the cost and, of course, the reliability of space transport must be improved dramatically by ultimately orders of magnitude. As it is right now, we can't send anyone to Mars, not even one person. And in order to make life multiplanetary, and which would mean that a Mars base would have to be self-sustaining, you'd need to carry on the order of perhaps at least 10,000 people and tens of thousands of tons of equipment. So really, really dramatic improvements in space transport technology are needed. SpaceX has been started to try to move things in that direction. And really, if things are on a path of continuous improvement, then you can envision the point at which humanity would be able to do that. But the sad thing is that space has not been on a path of continuous improvement. It has arguably been on a path of decline. If you consider the fact that we were able to go to the moon in 1969, and then in the 80s that dropped down to being access to low Earth orbit. With the end of the shuttle, there'll be no American manned access to space, at least until perhaps SpaceX or others are able to provide that access. And so if you extrapolate that trend line is in the wrong direction. It needs to be dramatically reversed. And I'm hopeful SpaceX will make a significant contribution in that direction. No, I should say that this is in partnership with NASA. So this is, I do believe that this is very much there's a strong private role and a strong public role. SpaceX has had many successes on the commercial front, but we also do have NASA to thank very much for our progress with the Dragon and Falcon 9. We would not be where we are today without their help. So that is an important role as well. So, but going to the crux of things, like in order to achieve the orders of magnitude reduction in the cost of space transport, the pivotal invention that's needed is rapidly and fully reusable orbit transport. Those are important qualifications. Just like with the Wright brothers, it wasn't a flight. They didn't actually invent flight. They invented controlled powered flight. That was really the important thing. They've been controlled flight, they've been powered flight, but not controlled powered flight. So with rapid and complete reusability, we can reduce the cost of space transport by a factor of over 100. If you look at the cost of the Falcon 9, to produce a Falcon 9, which is comparable in size to sort of say a Boeing 777 or something like that, and it actually weighs more on liftoff than a 747. A Falcon 9, which is it's a very cost-efficiently produced vehicle, is around $50 to $60 million. but the cost of the propellant per flight is only about $150,000. So if we can fully and rapidly reuse vehicles, the cost per flight, at least the marginal cost per flight, can drop from, say, $60 million to $150,000. And this is the reason why we're able to use airplanes. Why doesn't it cost hundreds of millions to fly dollars to fly on airplanes? Because that airplane can be used thousands of times over. But this is the absolutely important invention that must take place, whether it's by SpaceX or somebody else. It is a rapidly and fully reusable launch vehicle. That's something that we're going to try to do, and I think we've got a solution in mind that could do the trick, but it's that remains to be seen. We have a lot to prove to get there. But I think if we or some other company can invent that, then that will be the fundamental thing that enables life to become multiplanetary. Yeah, so, and I should touch on Heinlein more for a moment. I should say that The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is one of my favorite books. I really like that. This is one of the best awards I've ever received. Actually, probably it's the best award, actually. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Elon, thank you. And by the way,
Thank you.
we have just signed a contract to make The Moon is a Harsh Mistress into a movie.
Well, that's
Just for you.
Thank you.
I would like to ask how old you were when you first read Heinlein.
I guess I was about 18, 19.
I see. Well, we want to catch them even younger now. Okay, well, are there any questions from the audience? I realize this is a little unconventional in a presentation.
Absolutely, happy to answer questions.
Anybody have a question? You call on them, please, Elon.
Sure.
We've got microphones set up. If you want to get to the mic, Pat.
Are you having any challenges in terms of hiring qualified employees here in the United States to further your program? Is that any kind of a challenge, or how many people out there that are highly qualified?
Hiring great people is always tough in any company, but I think we've been reasonably successful in doing so. We grew from 800 to 1,200 last year, in the span of last year, and this year we'll probably grow by another sort of 20–25%. So I think we're making good progress. It's actually more of a challenge integrating people effectively into the organization. Any given organization, the output of any given organization is the vector of the people within it, and so if you add people to the organization, you've got to make sure that things are well aligned and they're able to apply themselves to their full potential. That's one of the toughest things.
I'm going to answer that one too, Elon, because back in 2009, a aeronautics professor at the University of Michigan was interviewed for Aviation Week. He wrote an editorial, and he said that in the last 10 years, his 10 best students, he knew who they were, and 5 of them were working for SpaceX, and that was more than any other company. So it's not just quantity, it's quality too.
That's
Anything
true.
else?
When I read that article, I was like, damn, we missed 5.
Anyone else have a question?
We tracked them down, by the way.
So the question is, I have 2 sons at the age of 20 to 25, like many of you do in this audience. My question is, how people like you, what should people like you do to make young generation believe in engineering instead of going to economy, to finances, to entertainment business?
Well, I do think engineering has a marketing problem, unfortunately. I do think it's changing a little bit with with Silicon Valley companies that have really grown dramatically in the past several years. Like Google and Facebook and so forth, and Yahoo, they were all started and run by engineers. So I think we're starting to see a bit of that. But it's more in the kind of the software engineering arena. I do think one of the biggest sort of misapplications of talent is far too many smart people going into finance in the United States. You know, that's sort of the capital allocation game, but you really need to actually be making products and services that people really use. That should really be where the smartest people go. I think we need to perhaps somehow change the rules of the game such that finance is not so rewarding. And that, to some degree, that may have occurred in recent years.
Well, thank you for not saying anything about lawyers. Okay. Well, anybody else? Is that it?
I got a question. Speaking of which, you know, for the financial community, how does the financial community invest in SpaceX?
Well, SpaceX is actually, we've been slightly profitable for the last 4 years and expect to be that this year again. So we don't have an immediate need for capital, but I think that there's a good chance that we will IPO the company next year. The public markets are a very efficient way to raise capital, and I think we may need to. Well, it's probably a good move to have a capital reserve, yeah. But there's some debate about that, because if we do go public, you know, how will the public markets respond to super long-term thinking? You know, it's like making life multiplanetary. That's kind of a long horizon return. But I mean, I'm going to tell people that is see how they react and see if the public markets are willing to support that. If so, then we might IPO towards the end of next year.
Anything else? Thank you very much, Elon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And I'd like to thank all of you as Heinlein's children for taking time from your busy lives to come here to honor Elon and to help the Heinlein memory. Pick up your copy of the book on the way out. It's free. And if you want to get all of the books, pick up the copy of the Virginia edition flyer, and you can order it online. Pay for it with PayPal. Okay. Stand up.
That's cool. That'll be fun. Yeah. I'm going to see if I can go that as well. I know I'll be at the space conference. Okay. We're going to put this sort in this book. Sometimes.